DreamHack Open is brought to you by Chipotle, Corsair, Monster Energy, Nice Cactus, AT&T, and GGBet.
DreamHack Atlanta has been a smorgasbord of stories. We have teams with everything to prove and teams with nothing to lose, but now we get to look at the two teams that we have not seen yet today, and they're going to have some different stories than what we've seen from some of these other squads. First off, I'm thinking about what VP needs to do here. We're talking about a team that needs to prove, do they still got it? My name is Rich, I'm going to be your host, and I am joined by Potter and Pimp. We're going to talk about everything that's going on in this matchup and also look back a little bit at what we've already seen today. I mean, when we look at these two teams, after we've already kind of assessed the rest of the field of play, out of these two teams, who do you expect the most out of?
That's a very good question. I think there is more potential in INTZ if they really hit the A-level, whereas I feel as of late, Virtus.pro have had a little bit of an upswing, been playing somewhat decent. So I think as it is right now, Virtus.pro would probably be where I would put my money if I had to, but I think potentially-wise, INTZ is always going to be a team that you have to look out for.
They definitely are, but VP, I'm wondering which VP is going to show up here today. Is it going to be the 5-12 VP that's getting relegated in Mountain Dew League over in Europe, or is it going to be the VP that made it all the way to the Grand Finals in V4 in Budapest just a couple weeks ago? And that's the question mark that I think has been on everyone's mind. When are we going to get the VP of old? I mean, just looking at Snacks, he is really the only last remaining OG on this squad, but man, he's got the power in Snatchy, the power in Veggie, and the power in Mihu to help him out. So it's definitely a question mark, and I don't know, this one is a bit confusing for me.
Okay, all right, so we got a little bit of confusion. What do you think is causing that? We keep talking about consistency between some of these squads. Where do problems in consistency usually stem from?
That's a good question. I think it comes from a lack of abilities in order to create an environment where you thrive, consistently. And it sounds a little bit cheesy to say, but I think a lot of these teams on this level don't really know how to approach the game. We briefly touched on it before. There's like two ways you can go. You can play a very loose, you can play very, individual-based Counter-Strike, or you can play, a middle ground where you try to implement some tactics, you try to implement a system, or you can go the other way where you play like Astralis, for example, which is very reliant on the whole, foundation behind the team, how you play off and with each other in terms of utility. I think a lot of these teams right now don't know which road to go, so they're sort of like doing a little bit of everything, and that's not necessarily, the best environment for creating something consistent. And I think that's the big problem for, dare I say, pretty much all teams within the top 20, to top 30 region right now.
Yeah, I think that's a really important thing to bring up with this tournament as well, with what we've seen some of the teams try to do. Are they trying to fit too many boxes, check too many boxes with how they play? But let's take a look at the group that we are actually looking at right now and see what Group B does look like. We already talked about this matchup that we are going to be seeing in VP versus INTZ, but we need to think about what already has come to pass today with Crazy versus Chaos. And overall, Group B, I think, is the one that we highlighted, Potter, as the group where really anything can happen.
Exactly, and I mean, it's the competition within this group. It's a competition in this tournament. We heard in the interview them speaking about how anyone can beat anyone here, and I gotta agree with that. I think that we may not have the best of the best Counter-Strike teams in the world at this tournament, but we certainly have a pretty level playing field, and I think sometimes we go into opens and there's the one team that's so much better than the others, but here the competition, it is close. It's neck and neck.
Yeah, you were even saying in the green room, when you look at this open, it seems like the open with maybe that highest caliber field of play. So,
right.
As we move through the tournament, we're going to be checking in on that more and more and actually seeing who is rising to the occasion. But Group B, in particular, the group that we kind of are saying anything can happen. Now, going into this one right now, we're going to see where they are going to be playing. And also, this goes right back to what Pimp was saying with the idea of what playstyles we expect to maybe see from teams of this caliber.
It's a good question. If I were INTZ, I wouldn't allow Mirage to be played. That is by far the best map of Virtus.pro, but as it seems to be the case, we are going to Mirage. So there you go. The one map you shouldn't go towards. That's Mirage if you're INTZ, and that's where they end up going. So I'm not sure why that is. I think Virtus.pro have shown at least the past 2 months, that Mirage is by far the best map. It was the map that drove them through that final appearance in V4 in Budapest as well. So I was there myself watching it, and they played at a high level on that map. And they actually played a style of, they rely on the individuals to do the work, but also had a foundation to fall back on. So if I were INTZ, I hope they have really done their research. I hope they've done their studies. Otherwise, that seems to me like a video where they just go in blindsided.
Do you feel the same way?
I have to agree. I have to assume here, though, with Boltz coming into this lineup, being new, they've revamped their map pool, they revamped their approaches to the map. So hopefully with his addition, they have a new Mirage in the books.
Okay, all right. Well, let's take a look at VP right now. Already we've talked about how strong this map may be for them, but let's actually look at their individual players. Already Potter has talked about this roster at length, but we got to hear from you as well, Pimp. What are you thinking about these guys?
The 3 guys to the left are the big guys from this lineup, right? Snatchy with the AWP, a guy that many thought could be much better than he's actually turned out to be for now. There's still potential with him. He's still relatively young in that sense, but a guy that has a lot of potential with the AWP, a guy that can dominate rounds with the AWP, and a guy that plays very, very aggressive with it as well. We have him on your screen right here. Obviously Snacks as well. He hasn't really been performing up to the level that we expect Snacks to do, and that's a bit of a shame, because I think he's the catalyst behind this lineup, right? When he's playing well, and he's flanked by Snatchy and Miho, then you have a good chance of a VP that can beat some of the best teams in the world. Problem is, as said before, there's a lot of inconsistency in that performance, and in particular from Snacks' side. So that's going to be interesting to see what kind of Snacks is coming into this tournament.
For sure, that inconsistency has plagued them so long. I'm looking at Miho. I think this player, he's the young player, as we mentioned, and he was the replacement for Taz when that first roster shakeup happened for Virtus.pro back in the Golden 5 days. Miho was the young player that they brought in that they thought, hey, this is the guy that's going to turn a new leaf for us, start creating a new legacy for this Virtus.pro squad. So I'm waiting for Miho to actually really show up within the server and stamp himself in this Polish scene.
All right, we're hearing a lot of the questions that need to be answered by this lineup. Obviously, consistency was a question that we heard overall, but we're going to see which VP is showing up here to Atlanta as we move down, see all of the faces before they actually do get this one started. And then we can actually start to talk about their competition as well. I think with VP, when we keep going back to this idea of, is this a team that can live up to the history that this org has had inside of the scene?
No. That's the simple question. They're nowhere near that level, right? It's not a team you would ever expect to be a top 10 team in the world. VP at their best, we saw them at V4 in Budapest. That's VP, right? Being a top 15, maybe a top 20 team in the world. Right now, I don't think they don't have the player material in order to be so. Looking at this lineup as well, I'm questioning who are the in-game leader for this lineup, right? By the looks of it, it seems to be Mitchu sitting in the middle, and he has been in-game leading a little bit before, but it's the same old story. You have 5 players, none of them are designated in-game leader, none of them are taking charge over the team, and that's never a good recipe for success in terms of creating the consistency that we talked about before. So I think VP, again, they rely on the individuals to show up on any given day, and that's not good enough.
Yeah, I think that's very fair, and it's also pretty clear-cut when we actually do talk about this team so far on the desk, what we need to look at with them, but let's talk about their competition and what we actually expect to see here. What is it that they need to serve up in this DreamHack Open to actually excel for them?
I think INTZ has had quite a struggle coming into 2019, and not really at a fault of their own. It just seems like their team, the farm team, anytime a player kind of shines and does well, we've got MIBR and other Brazilian teams kind of snatching away the players. We just saw KNG leave the squad and join that MIBR side. But I got to talk about Boltz coming into this lineup for Destiny. I think Boltz is he's actually a young player, which, Boltz has been within our scene for so long. You think he's got some age behind him, but he's actually quite a young player, and he's that rock that he can provide for his team to allow his players to kind of formulate some sort of foundation so that they can rely on Boltz to understand, hey, Boltz got my back, let me go do my own thing, try to get some frags for myself. So I think Boltz's addition to this lineup is really solid.
Do you agree that Boltz might be that thing that can really be a cohesive element for this team?
If it's the Bolt from 2017, 2018, early stages, then sure. I think Boltz was one of the best role players in the entire game. I think he was super, super stable, super, super good. So it's a little bit annoying for me to see him play at this level, dare I say it. I think he's much better than he's been showing as of late, and I think that's the general consensus about this lineup, that when you look at these players, Yell, for an example as well, at a certain point with AWP, he was considered to be the guy that potentially could replace have fallen in MIBR. He's an in-game leader. He plays well with the AWP. He's very aggressive, fits that style. So all these players have had certain points in their careers where they were considered to be part of that next generation within the Brazilian scene. They just haven't lived up to the potential. Cello, a guy that we haven't talked about either, I think that was the biggest question mark for many. He came in 2017 at the Pro League Finals in Odense and he destroyed everyone. Everyone was saying, right, that's the next big star in Brazil. Ever since, it's been a little bit up and down. And again, we talk about consistency over and over again. This guy has the potential. He just don't persist the consistency.
You're right. I think INTZ is kind of like that third child. He's the middle child, rather. I mean, we've got MIBR and Furia that's been rising to that fame and for so long. And INTZ has kind of been in the background, like winning here, winning there, kind of making us talk about them. But it hasn't been consistent enough. It's very similar to this VP storyline.
I think that's a very, very interesting take, though, when you look at a squad like this, and you know, we're hearing it from you guys that they have so many different names that have succeeded in the past, but all of a sudden when you put them all together, maybe there's something that's causing that not to work. And will today be the day that we see this roster actually gel? Will they be able to get it done? You can vote right now in the chat with that hashtag VP or the hashtag for INTZ. There we go. These hashtags always messing me up, but don't mess it up in the chat. Otherwise, you're going to vote for a team that's not competing and look almost as foolish as I did. You can vote right now, and then we're going to take a look at what our casters and analysts think about this matchup and who is going to be able to take it. And we're just going to start that right now because I am really curious, Potter. Who do you think does take this overall?
You know, I think if the VP that showed up in Budapest shows up again once more here this weekend, they're certainly going to be very competitive. I got to go with INTZ, though. As that third child in the Brazilian scene, I think they've got a lot to prove. They're hungry, and Cello is freaking nuts, man. I'm ready.
Okay, all right. So we are going to hear that right now from you. What do you think is coming in on this one, Pim?
I think all logic points towards VP. I think they have a team that's been together for the longest period of time. They have, you know, done some decent results as of lately. INTZ coming in with a roster change, Bolts being brought into the lineup. Nothing really tells me that they would be able to win, apart from the fact that I think individually speaking, they are much better than VP right now. I think Bolts is a great player. I think Cello is a monster. I think Yell can be very good with AWP. So if they're showing up on an individual level, I'm going to back INTZ here, but it's a big gamble.
Okay, all right. So it's the individual level where you really are starting to make your predictions, but as a cohesive unit, you still do somewhat lean towards VP. But you're making your vote. I know you're making your vote on their side.
I think INTZ is going to shoot them out of the server, simple as it is. But I think VP is the better unit, yeah? I think that's a fair way to say.
All right.
So what are you going to do, huh?
I'm going to go with VP because, I mean, ultimately, for me, if I get that right, I look like a 200 IQ glowy brain host.
So you basically have nothing to lose, huh?
Dude, I'm wearing a Naruto shirt right now. Yeah. Do I look like I have any dignity at all?
I've been thinking about that all day, huh?
Twitch agrees with me. And, you know, one thing, it doesn't matter what esport you're working, chat's always right. How you guys doing? Yeah. We got a very cute chat here right now. I'm sure a couple of you wearing Naruto shirts just like me. People of culture.
Pretty sure they're not.
I think maybe they are. And now we get to go down to our casters. One of the only people in any scene balder than me. Tom, how you doing, man?
Cheers. I don't think that's true. You've not lost that much hair yet. It's getting there, though.
We're really lucky that we don't have any close-up shots. Yeah, I'm wearing 4 headsets. No, we can't. We actually can't. We're gonna throw it over to you guys before they figure out how to zoom in. Have fun.
Thank you. Where are you going?
What an intro.
Yeah, I know. It's not about you. I'm jealous of you. You've got
my hair grows extremely fast.
There's definitely nothing there.
Yeah, I got my haircut like a month ago. So.
Danish people, you know.
Just good
all
genes,
Danish
you know.
people. Does it exist?
No one knows.
No one knows. Either way, yeah. How do you think this is going to go down? I am leaning the way of INTZ just because, like, at least from online performances recently, Virtus.pro, like, it's unreal. Can you imagine them being in the relegation of MDL?
I have no idea how that's actually come to be, but I have to agree. And also with what Pimp's saying, like, technically, if you only look at LAN results, which you should ideally in Counter-Strike, VP should be the favorite here. But you have to also think about the fact that, okay, yes, there's been a change on the INTZ lineup. They got in a player who has so much experience that can help the team. And VP Online have been doing so poorly. They are losing in online qualifiers. Like, we're talking about a team with a rich history in Counter-Strike. And now, as you said, relegation in MDL, losing in online qualifiers. So this is a VP that I feel like VP needs this more than INTZ. So I'm hoping for VP. I'm hoping they can do it here, but I think the logical choice would have to be the Brazilians.
But and that's sort of the problem. Like obviously VP, like I think they got the invite to V4. So and that was always the case, even with all the old rosters. Like towards the end as well, you'd look at it and go, if they got invited to an event, you don't know what would happen. They could beat some of the best teams in the world, and then they go back home, they're sat in their armchairs, they're playing a little bit of Counter-Strike, and they get absolutely destroyed by teams that should be nowhere near them. Like, even if you just look at the individuals that are there, the amount of experience that's there, the amount of players that have come from other teams that look really promising. Like, you look at the old AGO roster, and you're like, this is now the best team in Poland, and Virtus.pro go, I'm going to ruin this team, and then pick up 2 players from there, and they just haven't looked as good, but either way, we're going to be going right into Mirage. This is our first match of the day, but of course, number 4 on the list to find out who's going to be going into the upper bracket and who's going to have to fight for survival tomorrow.
Mihu in a defensive position while the rest of VP are moving down towards underpass. We have 1 smoke, 1 flashbang on Snatchy. So that setup can be used for a number of different combinations around the map. You can go for either B control or mid control, as it looks like. And maybe then an explosion out of connector could be the play. Kit on sand, and then a bunch of utility on cello. Slow approach here, but it's looking more and more like an A explosion with focus on the connector from VP. Smoke has already been deployed. Flash is coming in the next 10 seconds. Connector control has been taken, so it's just a question of time. Here's the flash lineup, and it's coming.
Yeah, the CTs actually seem quite well set up for this, though. SH there just waiting and looking for those initial shots, but isn't going to connect, and already PHR will clear the 1 man within the site. It's the remaining CT players, and actually Zan drops the bomb. This gives them some extra time, and Snax is the only one with a P250 to actually try and fight from range. Luckily, Mihu has been able to find another. A bit of a weird round as they're finally going to be able to get the bomb down. He's coming in on the flank. It's whether or not they're going to be aware of it. They're not. They're looking in completely the wrong direction. 1 easy kill, the second as well, as both players are low. And Zand is left to try an ace.
Yeah, ace in the pistol round would be a great way to start. Gets the first 1-1 bullet, no problem, onto Veggie. Looking to find some more meat in this round. Sand. 2 players still alive, still time, and with the kit, not impossible.
If he gets away with this, I'll be very surprised. And Mihu is there ready and waiting. 4 kills for him in the pistol round. A great start overall. And yeah, I think that's going to be the big thing in this match. Like it seems cliche, but you talk about momentum, especially with teams that I feel like when things start going wrong, they don't necessarily have like a load of strategy to sort of build things up. But that's been Virtus.pro's weakness for the longest amount of time. Like we've spoken about the Virtus plow, where they basically just get going and they're impossible to stop. When they were stopped, they sort of went, oh dear, and opened the strat book. There was nothing in it, and just threw it away and started rushing into angles again.
And also one thing that I have to mention, like historically with VP, is that they're a LAN team. Like they're a team they don't do well online. They have never done, even in their greatest period of time, they were still pretty bad online. But on LAN, that's where they really like came to their own. And hopefully we can see this from VP now, and we can get a really good game. They have gotten the pistol round without anything too specific, anything too strategic. And now in this round, up against the fully forced up PC side, Yell with a deagle.
Yeah, nice couple of shots. They've got the positioning right here and doing a lot of damage, but Mihu's still hitting the headshots. It's left all onto Sneaky Snacks. He's just trying to find an angle here. The bomb dropped out in the open and the rotation coming back in.
Has to go for a kill before he can go for the bomb plant. You don't want to go in, plant a bomb and be 1v2. He's picking up the AK on short, taking that control. But meanwhile, Bolds, he's just walking in, gets the information. That's the most important thing. Now they know exactly where Snacks is. Can smoke an angle off, but will be taken out by the Desert Eagle. So the force up, it works out. And VP, they cannot be satisfied.
Are we saying shiz?
We can say whatever you want, Tom.
Because I feel like it's a dangerous thing to say, but, you know, why not? Why not, right? Because I feel like SHZ just is far too long to say.
Yeah,
and he doesn't have any capitals in it.
That's going to take a while.
Which, if there's no capitals, that means I don't have to say them individually. So I think I'm going with shiz dash.
Yeah, if you do speak fluent Portuguese or from Brazil, you can DM us and tell us how to pronounce it. No problem.
Yeah, scream at us. Like, to just be like, stupid idiot.
Oh, okay. PHR is nothing but that. Straight headshot onto sand, and that's what you want to like get when you start a round. It's a 4-step pistol. You just lost the anti-eco. You're feeling kind of down. You get a 1 bullet. That's perfect. But still a hot round. Had the scout on Snatchy. It's possible, but very difficult for them.
Yeah, just patiently waiting as they do rotate that bomb back around. Shiz going to be here. AK in hand with bolts to back him up. They've definitely got the better weaponry when it comes to the offense, and going to start getting a little bit more aggressive to try and find information. It's a messy spray. I don't know how does Snatchy get away with that. That is terrible, but Bolt, he's going to be able to at least bring some normality back into the round, doing so much damage. And Snacks is even only down to 29 HP. Bomb is going to be planted, so still a possibility here for Bolt. Just trying to do it all on his own. A 3rd kill already in this round. Veggie could be a problem. Just hiding back. Bomb not planted in the best position for him, but he should be able to just wide peek and try and take that battle. In fact, he's given a chance. Finally, someone will connect the shot and leaves him into the 1 versus 1. But Cello's just going to try and leave him smoked out. The push comes in from Veggie, and Cello will close it down. The force buy is unbelievably close from the T side, but they're not going to take it away.
And in this round, in my opinion, it all comes down to the damage that Bolt is able to do from the ticket position. And that's one of the things when you're T side attacking that A bomb side, you get 1 smoke down towards CT, but there's always the possibility of the CT just jumping on top of the box. You have to either double smoke it or constantly be aware that the CT can do this kind of jump. So in this situation, they smoke the lower smoke, not constantly aware of Bolt's position and not constantly aware of the fact that he can go up and just take duels. And you have to pick either one. Either you double smoke or you have to have an angle on him at all times.
How many effective flashes are we getting in this round? 6 flashbangs available for Virtus.pro.
Here we go.
Going to be spamming them into this site. They've already blinded themselves a few times. And yeah, no one's blind. This is a problem.
like the good old Semler would say, like kittens into a blender. That's not my quote.
Okay.
I'm just quoting him.
You know, Snacks managed to get a couple of kills. Kittens fighting back.
Yeah, we don't need to expand on that image.
Well, yeah, Snacks is definitely the cutest kitten of all time.
I can agree on that.
I would not say that to his face.
I would not say anything to his face. Like he actually.
He is.
I know. I've heard a lot of good stuff about him. He's apparently very sweet. But
no,
I would be legit scared if I had to like straight up like face off against Snacks.
Well, I think I'd be facing off against his belly button. Like,
yeah.
I am not a tall person. So it's like, hello. My voice automatically gets higher when someone's taller than me.
Yell with the AWP now. No AWP on the T side, of course. All Creeks and AKs. As we do have 4M4s in the CT side. No silences for any of our Brazilian friends. And utility-wise, we're down to 2 smokes already. Yell starting out, getting a chance for the second one.
Yeah, and it seemed like he could have got a little bit more there, but ends up falling. Luckily, the trade will go in their favor, and Shiz on the side looking for a little bit more, but the trade's coming in once again. Veggie down to just 2 HP. The problem is getting that bomb back from the connector. I think they're aware of someone potentially peeking in through the window, and it is going to be Zand actually making that move. Mihu just waiting. Like, your teammates in a battle, eventually he'll get the freebie. And Virtus.pro are going to turn that into their favor. Still a little bit close. I felt like that round could have gone either way.
Yeah. And that's basically what's going to happen when you have 2 teams that aren't really known for their like great structure on T sides either, both of them. And you're playing on Mirage, have a new player in INTZ. Like, there's a lot of factors telling us that this is going to be a game that comes down to individual play and
a brawl.
Like clutches, 2v2 situations, 1v1 situations. And that can also be interesting. Right now, we're going to see probably the least interesting round of the game, as we do have 4 USPs.
What do you mean? Bolt's going to get at least 3 kills. At least.
If Bolt gets more than 2 kills in this round, it's a big mistake from VP.
Yeah, I always like seeing stacks, though. I think it's... one of my pet peeves is when you have a round where you have nothing, and then you just play default. It's like, why? Like, you're basically betting on you beating a rifle in a 1v1 duel. Instead, setup like this, if you lose the round, then basically that just means things went to plan.
Yeah.
But if you can stack up, more of a chance of retrieving the weapons, way more of a chance of actually winning the round. And obviously, if they go in the other direction, you can even just say, you know what, we're not even going to throw them that extra money for killing all of us. We'll just sit here and they can come to us.
Oh, for sure. And that's why the T-side, they're so like patient. They check in every single angle. That's what you got to do on one of those rounds. You know you're in an anti-eco. You know your opponent doesn't have a lot of money. So they're probably on this eco round. You're just going to walk into a bomb site, just check every corner. Do we see or hear any weapons on one of the sites? Then they're probably stacking that, and we're going to push the other side. Keep one player at a defensive position like Veggie is right now. Triple kill. Cello with 1, so they're going to retrieve 1 AK, and
It's all right.
I think Yell is happy with that. He'll take that.
Boz didn't get 3 kills. It was a risky prediction, I'll admit.
It's fine.
Oh, so was that. Bit of a risky peek from Yell. That AK is now gone.
Yeah, that's the rough situation because you know VP are going to be hunting here. They don't want to give that AK up. They're going to be pushing from all angles. Normally the safest angle is in T-spawn, but Snacks just hunts him down. Both of them. 2 kills for him, and a tied-up game.
Yeah, no one really breaking the deadlock just yet. Of course, we are now going to have the CTs going back for an investment. I think that's going to be the main problem for them at the moment, is that money doesn't really seem to be there throughout these rounds. Of course, they want to be getting Yell back onto the AWP. That's one of the things I'm really looking forward to with this roster, actually, is now that KNG's gone, it sort of frees them up in other aspects. Like, they couldn't just rely on him to win them rounds anymore, so they've had to, like, improve their team.
Ooh, Cello, great peek.
Okay. He's even looking to go for a little bit more, like taking full control of the ramp.
Surely he's gonna go back. I like the detail, smoking it off, buying like an extra area and buying an extra amount of time after getting the 2 kills, because there's no way he should be peeking after that double.
Hey,
like I'm sure his coach will be standing behind him. Just don't peek.
I absolutely love their coach. Like, especially during like I think it was the minors as well. Like well, obviously with the same team, but with KNG in there, he was just getting so hyped behind them. Definitely one of the most passionate guys you'll see within the game. So,
sure. I would love to see a game between INTZ and then Crazy to see him and Neil face off. Who could be the most invested in the game? Right now, it's going to be an A push from the T side because Snatchy has gone behind enemy lines. Will open up onto Shiz.
Yeah, he's managed to get very far, especially just peeking in with the AWP, but Cello just absolutely wrecking face. That's his 4th kill of the round. Finally, Snatch will put him down and almost gets bolts as well. 1 HP for the Brazilian, but hey, Cello being let off the leash a little bit. And again, I think that's another prospect that's come in with KNG actually leaving, because he's always the one that they were trying to set up. He's the one who was being aggressive, like making the plays for the side. You remove him and it goes, okay, who are we using to do that now? Okay, Yell will start AWPing. Cello can start being more aggressive. We bring in Bolts, again, one of the better role players within the scene. I think it actually improves the roster as a whole. As silly as it sounds, like we've lost a world-class player, but we've almost gained a team.
Yeah, that's true. And it also depends on kind of what style you want to play. And I would say right now the meta is not the brawly, let's just go shoot heads, like Imperial-esque style. Like the meta right now is based around what Team Liquid were doing, what Astralis were doing, focusing on the team.
Or using the SG.
Yeah, also that. But that part of the meta I just dislike with a great passion.
Yeah, I can't disagree with that. Again, another ball taken and won by the CT side. A lot of individual fights going on, and they're now going to try and push as a group. Snatchy once again will get another pick with that AWP. And the CT's not in the best positions here for any sort of retake as the bomb does go down. Smoke going to be thrown in, but, well, I think Bolts has got a little bit of vision through this one.
See here, aggressive peek from Miku. Not going to get anything out of it.
They've got a chance now. They've done a lot of damage. In fact, 2 kills coming really quickly. Snatchy now has to make this an ace if he's going to be able to do anything, and Cello right behind him is going to be able to close this one out. CT side pull off the retake, and when that started, again, in the 4 versus 3, they don't lose a single player, and the question I ask is, was it down to that smoke?
I wouldn't say it was only down to that smoke, because I've seen now 2 rounds in a row in situations where I feel like VP have the strategic advantage. For example, when they were going in, they had Snatchy behind enemy lines the round before. They missed time a little bit, the way that they push into the bomb site. So there's definitely some issues that they can work on there. And definitely when they go back and watch the demos after this event, however it goes, they'll look at these 2 rounds and say, okay, we could have done a lot of things different here. A lot of the pushes, a lot of the timings weren't 100%. And I know that's like coming off maybe as a bit like focused on the negative sides, but that's what you got to do as a team. You got to look at the mistakes and see, okay, what can we change? Nice smoke setup here on the T side, using all their utility, and they're gonna get an entry onto Snacks.
Yeah, trade comes straight back, but they have managed to retrieve themselves a rifle, and actually after all of that utility gets expended, they decide to fall back. Cello not expecting anybody to be at the top of mid. This can't be a round that INTZ lose. That would be pretty atrocious considering the investment. Back to B they go.
Exactly.
Weapon's going to be juggled.
Get that rifle over to PHR, 100 HP, 2 flashbangs. They can actually, like, if they do the 2 correct flashbangs onto this position, the B player will be completely wide. But there's so many things that you have to think about, what kind of positions you can look at. So maybe just try and get some more information. They still have 48 seconds. They could go underpass. I said, going right now, checking this out.
2 low players.
He's 12 and 4, Tom.
Yeah, I think he did a total of about 30 ADR to get that.
But right now, what's happening for VP is that they can walk into the speed side because there was so much focus on underpass. Sand is turning around right now, but is it too late? He spots him now. High flash coming towards short. There will be no time. Veggie has to pull off a miracle.
Oh, if he got that kill, maybe there was a chance to get a bomb plant, but it doesn't work out in the end. Even still, just a bit of utility invested, along with some P250s, and they made that look like a winnable round. Like,
yeah.
You could hear it in our voices by the end. We were kind of disappointed, but when you consider what they actually invested there, that's not a bad round at all.
No, definitely not. And that's also once again a sign, or like, just in general, think about the utility usage. Think about how you can like just get a rifle, like how that can change around. And utility allowed Snacks to get that first opening. So there's so much other stuff you can do than just getting in, buying a deagle, trying to get an opening. So much more depth to CS, and Yell will miss that first shot. Fully smoked off. Very hard run to hit. Connector control being taken by the T side. Rotation coming back. Bomb still dropped. So he can still go anywhere right now, but shaping up to be an A explode. Cello is actually in the correct position for this one. But now has to change. That's fine. Moving up. It's the T side.
Just getting spammed through the smoke. So much damage already done. Cello goes for timing, gets both kills, but the trade's there eventually. The problem is PHR's alone with the bomb in the ladder room. So if they are going to make a push onto short, there's a lot of risk behind that play, because if the bomb goes down on short, you're kind of screwed. Like, getting that back's going to be very difficult.
Yeah, I'm not sure what the play was there, because they had Snacks pushed all the way up onto like stairs at the other end of the smoke. PHR here, gonna get backstabbed. And then they had Veggie towards B tunnels. Like, it seems very disconnected for VP right now. And INTZ said they're just gonna take that and say, thank you.
Yeah, it's weird, because it's like they were allowed to regress all the way through the spawn. You also then had Snacks for so much map control, but it didn't seem like the rest of the team really waited for him to try and do anything with it.
No.
So by that point, like, again, if you're rotating the bomb through middle, I guess because he cleared out connector, you kind of go, okay, well, there can't be anyone there, but there could have been someone in window anyway. So there was so many ways that round could have gone wrong from there. But at the same time, like, where do you really go if you're PHR? Do you try and go back through the window? You have to make a lot of noise. It's tough because so much damage was done in this moment.
Yeah, I just don't think. But it's, again, like, we're sitting here with observer feed and we can see through the walls and everything. I think the clear
Wait,
choice
you can
was
see through the walls?
Yeah.
Oh.
It's not enabled on your
Doesn't even on.
But yeah, I feel like the A explode would have been the better choice there. But that's just like what I favor, and the teams that I've been with favor.
Well, the hero rifle did not go very well. Veggie's already dead, and it is looking like the rest of the team are going to fall in turn. hasn't been that much of a fight for mid, in all honesty. Like, considering INTZ, they had a few rounds where they sent the AWP there and boosted up, but ultimately they've been happy to just give the control to Virtus.pro and just sit back.
Yeah, and that's the way you can play it. Bomb actually drops forward here, so they have to retake that in deep middle. Bolts can just peek out, and that's it.
Well, that was one of the things that I still remember, I think it was Imperial, back obviously a while ago, because they've changed rosters since then a lot of times, but they were so good on Mirage even back then. The team that was actually able to beat them was the sort of weird heroic lineup where Yugi was like benched for a bit and you had Snappy AWPing, and all they did was just let them have mid. They didn't fight them at all, and then it turned to an execute, and that was where Imperial didn't have the depth to really do anything. And it seems like INTZ are in a similar sort of scenario. Like, they'll challenge it a little bit occasionally. Like, they'll have a peek from short, maybe through the connector, they'll spray some bullets through, but they're just going, okay, you have this, but now do something with it. And so far, Virtus.pro, okay, we saw the round where Snacks managed to get onto A through the connector, which is definitely something that shouldn't happen. The same with Snatchy through the window, actually, around the back, but they've had these chances, but they haven't really exploited any of them to actually win a round.
Yeah, INTZ have been doing very well in that regard. Just giving the opponent what they thought they wanted, but in the end, what they couldn't really do a lot with. Yell aggressive in the apartments. Nice peek from him, and now it's just spraying them down. This is a round where they invest all their money. Like,
oh my god, this is why you don't give the CT side an SG. That was disgusting. Just absolutely obliterated.
Look at the money now from VP. The richest player, of course they get a loss bonus, but the richest player had 1,100.
Yeah, I think their loss bonus is maximized, but without a bomb plant, it's still going to be a bit of a sketchy situation, but that just looks so easy. Cleaning things up.
But he wasn't pressured on that side at all. There was no Molotovs, there were no flashbangs coming in, smokes didn't land, apart from like the connector control. So they're not putting pressure right now on these Brazilian players, VP, and it's one of the things they need to do.
Yeah, and even when we talk about like the recent form of Virtus.pro, like, a lot of their matches have at least been close. Like, they lost 16-13 to Spirit, they beat Illuminar, they beat Demise, they lost to okay, the only dominant one is losing to Avangard, which is forgivable. Like, they're a decent team, but like, in all honesty, other than that, this is looking like one of the more dominant defeats at the moment. They haven't really done much to break the defense. Bolts has been fantastic. Yeah, exactly. Cello has as well.
We have to focus on the other side as well, because INTZ has been playing really, really nice. Bolts has had a great game so far. And they have just been holding back on the CT side, waiting for the T players to walk into their aim. They now have 2 Creeks on that CT side. We both know how important that weapon can be, how overpowered it can be on the CT side. So they have everything going their way right now, the Brazilians. And VP has to find a way to stop that. We haven't seen a quick rush with a buy from them yet. I would love to see a kind of B explode combination with buys, with that running SG we know can be very effective as well. So, but yeah, that's wishful thinking.
Oh yeah, I think, just be a bit more aggressive, work with the trades. It was said on the desk that they seem to be the tighter unit, especially considering there's a brand new player within this team. Although I think it's a player that, if you were going to add in, Bolts is probably one of the best. Like, he's very good at doing pretty much everything you need him to do, and very individually strong. But here we go. We finally have a B play.
No smokes for it, though. No smokes for it. There's only 1 flashbang.
Yep. And it seems like they're more than ready. It's already going to be just them walking into the site. This couldn't be any easier for INTZ, and just leaves Mihu alone to try and clutch this 1v4. He does manage to get the 2nd and 3rd for him as well. Maybe this is when they make the mistake. Mihu gets his 4th and leaves just Cello alone, but he's behind him. A little bit sneaky from INTZ, and a lot of mistakes made in that. But nonetheless, calm it down. It's all good. It's all good.
What a round. What an attempt from Mihu. But then again, also a great example of why you need your utility, because Yell, like, if you're like basically 3v4 in that situation, you're going into that B bomb site, they have an AWP, you have to kind of counter that he's sitting in that market window. You have to have the smoke down. That is one of the main things. And we see them now. We have the utility. Now we have the execute. All the smokes and everything's just falling into place. They're lining up now. I wish they had that the round before when the weaponry was also there.
Yeah, that's the problem now. No guns. And the CT side look more than prepared.
Yeah,
3 players here.
On the side.
A 4th coming as well. Like, this is just a perfect setup, and they have much better weaponry here again. Yell is going to be able to get that open. Actually through the gap in the smoke, but they have been able to get quite close here. Veggie doing a lot of damage, but eventually he's overwhelmed. INTZ 11 on the board on this CT side, and they're looking unstoppable.
Definitely are. Brazilians looking tough on this one. VP to pick themselves up in that second half if they want to fight back. But that's just a great play from Stand as well. Yes, it's only against the pistols, but still. Nice rotation around. Good little movement. Getting onto short there. And then the two-player focus onto that short area. So now they're actually, at least in the beginning, 5-10 seconds, fighting for mid. And even this is perfect. I was about to say, if they can shut down Snax' position with the Molotov as well, just hold him back for a while. They can hold the mid control, and Cello's, yeah, this is textbook CT side Mirage right now from INTZ.
Well, it's been a long time since we've seen anything. Not round 6 was when we saw a round out of Virtus.pro.
Yeah,
it doesn't look like anything's going to change. Cello with that opening pick onto Snax. I think they're more than aware of what he's doing. That was really close. And they're just finding picks left, right, and center, getting more aggressive by the second. Cello sprays another double and leaves Veggie all alone, and he's going to get slaughtered as well. 12-3 half. Absolute domination from INTZ.
Yeah, we're going to take a small break, and then we're going to be back with this second half in a bit. See you then.
Wake me up. I'm going home tonight. And everything's alright. 'Cause I know we got that something. It lights up the dark at night. So you keep the engine running. I'll be the headlights. You and me will have the end of time. 'Cause nothing lasts forever. I'm not giving up without a fight. I'm not giving up without a fight. I'm not giving up without a fight.
Well, welcome back. Absolutely dominant half coming out from INTZ. And yeah, Virtus.pro went missing very early on in that half. It was round 6, I think, before when we last saw them actually do anything.
Yeah, it seems tough because we can see in every single round that the VP players, like individually, they have the potential to kind of make this a close game, but every single time they're forced with making a different decision on the T side, like mid-round, it seems like the strat book is not as deep as it should be. But now, we're going to see a quick execute onto A.
Yeah, PHR in the back lines needs to try and find a pick, really, but Veggie's actually done the work through a gap in the smoke. We'll give them that opportunity. Of course, no kit available for any sort of retake, so they are going to have to get moving fairly quickly. No utility as well, actually, so it's just going to come down to raw individual aim, grouping up, and that's exactly what they plan to do in towards CT. Nice flashbang coming out. We'll leave 2 blind, but PHR ready for that NT flash, and this should be troublesome now for the T side, and it's left all onto Zand. He does hit an instant headshot at least, denies any defusal at least for now, and as said, with no kit available, they are going to have to get on it fairly quickly. He's going to get another, and Zand just trying to do it all. And I think he's done it already. The time ticks away, and Zand just destroys the side of Virtus.pro. And well, there we go. You love it. You got to love it.
And you can just see, like, that's a very important clutch coming in right there, because I feel like VP, they should have more success on the CT side because they can rely more on their individual play and kind of the small, like, deals players make on site, like, how do we do this? If this happens, what do we do then? Because you don't have to rely on a strat book for the entire team. You can kind of work off on sites and individual plays. But there, an individual plays happens for the other team, so what can you really do against that?
Honestly, I'd love to have a Pocker just follow me around in my everyday life. Just like, you got bacon with your waffles! Just like, that's what I want in my life. Just like, everything is the most exciting thing in the world. Because they're winning 12-3, he wins the clutch in the pistol, and it was like they just won the major final. I love it. I want that in my life at all times. But here we go.
That would be perfect.
Execution, bomb down. CT side may even just have to hold on to their weapons, which is pretty depressing considering the scoreline.
Yeah, that's tough because they went for a gamble there, stacked mid and B, which is, I actually don't disagree with it. I think it is the best choice in this situation. But it doesn't work out, the gamble, as gambles rarely do.
Bet responsibly.
Please, I was waiting for you to come in with that. Nicely done. Both, he's just fragging away, getting that 20 bomb, no problem. Around 180 AR as well. Snacks and Snatchy trying their best to limit this T side here and take some of the weapons away, but the Krieg will survive. Yellow's actually going in for the hunt. He will die. Krieg survives. And another round for the Brazilians.
They got an AK out of it.
It's not too bad.
The amount of damage that they did there and an AK retrieved, I wouldn't even mind if we saw a force buy entry come in. Just at this point of the game, it's like, I don't think there's a wrong answer for Virtus.pro. It's like, if you save and you wait, you're waiting for what is a fight back of 12 rounds in a row. And if you don't, and you just force buy, it's like at least you have a bit of a lifeline. So that is what they're going to do. They've got the AK. Hopefully Snacks can roll back the years and give them a little bit of a boost. Because they are a team that when they do get hyped, they are very scary to play against. The problem is they have been dead quiet throughout this one. As I said, the last time they won a round was round 6.
And we have multiple players on 20 frags on the T side right now. Mihu taking a big chance. Ooh, it will actually pay off for him. Not a second one though. 1 for 1.
He's one of the players that only had a pistol, so all in all, it's not the worst trade in the world. It could give them more of a chance in the latter portions, and Snatchy, I think he's aware that Boltz is just sat behind the smoke. It's whether or not Boltz is actually just going to wait for it to fade. Like, if he does, then it really is just a 50-50. The timing seemed like it might go Bolt's way, but not today.
Snacks in a great position. Will actually also get a flash, but not peeking on the flash. Kind of makes just think, okay, he didn't peek on the flash, so he has to either be on the left corner or the side. Because usually when that flash comes in, you jump on and get the peek going from Snacks' position, but he stays back, plays the mind game for a little while. Makes the T side wait. That's also one thing we have to mention. Both of these teams prefer the CT side of Mirage with around 55 to 45%, so both of them should have their best performance on this CT side. Malta will come in though. Snacks is in trouble. He will be flushed out of the position and Yell here.
Oh, there's still another man on the side. Oh, just about wins the battle, but the peak comes in through the smoke. Snatchy just doing work. 3 kills for him, as we are now going to get round number 4. A long fight back, but that force spine definitely worth it. A lifeline gathered up for the Polish side, and they have a chance. So if they lose that round, they're dead. Like, that's
for sure.
They'll like go on to that match tomorrow and try and fight again. But with this round, there's at least a little candle, like someone holding up a candle at the end of the tunnel, like the tiny little light.
The tiniest candle.
And Risk is ready to just go.
I would never do that. I love myself a candle, you know? I'm almost a married man now. You gotta take some things, like you gotta appreciate them. Scented candles.
You're not there yet. It's
Long
almost.
bath.
You could still screw it up.
Okay, thank you. VHR looking to not screw up his position, and he won't because he's up against the pistol, so not the hardest one. And this round also not hard for... I say that, and then Bolt is allowed to come in with a deagle. Like, how's that possible? You have a Krieg.
Oh dear, no, please. Please, you can't lose this round. It's not possible. It's just not possible. I won't believe until it ends. Jesus, this is getting close, Bolt.
This is way too close, and Bolt also has a deagle.
The bomb position is horrible, though, and he's going to have to peek round it. Thankfully, Snacks is going to end that before it really does get out of hand, but I think you
can see it in the face there. Deep breaths.
But it definitely just seems like VP have turned up and they're not on their game at the moment. Like, even with all of the stuff that's happened, like with poor performances in MDL, like, this is even just individual aim just looks off in some of these rounds. Like, the fact that 2 players almost just died to 1 player picking with a CZ is insane. Like, that just shouldn't happen. Luckily for them, that was pretty much all the money that was there for INTZ.
Yeah.
So
this should be a breathing room round.
We've had to say should now because there's 2 P250s at Deagle, but after the last, you're like, you know, it's probably going to be okay.
You never know. Damage to begin with. Mihu has not found a frag yet, but with the nade, surely he will. Spray down comes in.
He dunked Veggie. That nade bounced off the wall. He almost killed Veggie, but it's fine. They won it flawlessly. They've got some money.
That's good.
This is their opportunity to build into it, to really get rolling. But the thing is, that's also the easy rounds out of the way. This is where the rifles come back up for the Brazilians. They've definitely been the better team so far. There's not really an argument to be had there.
And you have 5 Kriegs.
There's one on the other side.
6 Kriegs on the server then.
You love to see it.
Not really. This is what I like to see. The M4 peeking out, getting a kill. Here we go. That's nice. A non-Krieg kill. Like that. It's always nice to see.
So you're one of the anti-Krieg activists.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. Trying to start up an anti-Krieg movement in Denmark. But the problem is that we spell war almost the same way as we spell Krieg, so some people get it confused.
I feel like that would still be okay if you were trying to set up an anti-war movement.
Yeah, but that's not really what it's about. It's about
all the pro-war people coming out against you.
Yeah, that's not the battle I need, Tom.
Well, they're not as bad as the pro-Krieg people, though.
Yeah,
those people.
If there are any pro-Krieg people right now, you can just... Yeah. Not follow me on Twitter, that's...
Risk is coming to get you, that's basically all we're saying. If you're in Atlanta, he wants a 1v1 fist fight.
Mihu does not have a Krieg. Has an M4 instead.
Oh, they're all getting tagged so low. Cello has a chance to pretty much get a triple kill, only doing 50 damage. What? Ooh, nice shot from Bolts. He really is on fire, feeling it in this team at the moment. Veggie trying to sneak through the smoke, and he's going to get 2 by accident. He kills the bomb planter and leaves just Bolts remaining, but hey, it is Bolt. Luckily, Snacks is there sneaking in from behind, and we'll finish things off with Risk's favorite weapon.
And finally, Kuban gets a reason to smile. Finally.
He does have a beautiful smile as well. And he's a bald brother, so
and
we have
he's
to
a
stick together.
legend of the game.
Yeah, but he's bald, that's more important.
I would have to disagree with you on that. But then again, that's like what we like. I like the history of Counter-Strike. You like bald people.
Yeah.
That's our special.
We've got to stick together, you know. It's a tough time.
Utility on the T side, looking at a B explode. Definitely wouldn't recommend going down into towards underpass because there's an AWP holding that angle as of this very moment. Mihu also has a Molotov, so he can even Molotov drop down, he can Molotov in the apartments. Snacks is in position. It's going to be hard.
One of the smokes is missed, I'm pretty sure. Like, they threw it and it bounced back and blocked them off. So there's going to be a big gap for Mihu to peek around. They threw another one down at least. That's a lot of utility used. Cello actually runs through it though and manages to retrieve a weapon. Snacks just going to be hiding in the corner and they're going to spot him out as well. VP again versus these pistols, really struggling at the moment. Veggie does manage to get one back, but there's still so much to do and not a whole lot of time to do it. Molotov trying to clear out the site, and it will force Yell out of position, but they're not actually watching for it, just trying to pick off the players from the back lines, with Veggie taking a lot of damage, and Bolts is going to get another pick. This is looking more and more possible by the second, and with Veggie so low on HP, you think they have to just save now. That's going to be a 15th round onto the board from INTZ, and all they had was a few pistols and some utility.
Yeah, they had like decent utility for the round, and it was a nicely constructed B push, but still, once again, like VP, they had 2 players on the side, they had the counter utility. It's not good enough. That's the problem. And now they're in a really, really tough situation, VP. I also would like to, like, we haven't seen the graphic yet, so I'm not sure how many, like, timeouts they're down, but definitely, yeah, there we go, match toss coming in. I was about to say, they need to take, like, a breather now, and they should have probably taken a lot of these earlier. Maybe they have, maybe we haven't seen it.
But that's the thing, this might not even be their pause. Like,
That's
you
true.
win
That's
a round like that, where it's really close. Okay, it is. You've ruined. This is their first.
I really like Cuban, and I would love to know why they
You'd love to have
only
him in
spend
your
it now, because I think that there's so much feedback that he could give in this kind of situations, because they're under a lot of pressure, mainly from themselves and their own expectations. And I know that the Cuban, if you look through his CS career, has been in that situation many a time back when he was playing with the Golden 5 back in 1.6. So I think he has a lot that he could give to that. So I'm kind of disappointed that they haven't utilized that better.
Oh, here we go. PHR with a little bit of support, looking to get aggressive, and Cello completely caught with his pants down. That'll be the opening pick going the way of Virtus.pro. Starting to gain at least a little bit in confidence. Starting to try and take some map control away, and they've got a fast rotation back towards this site, ready for the push to come in. Mihu already manages a second, but Yell still gets the pick. I'm quite surprised by that, but INTZ in the meantime have been picked apart. A late rotation through middle from Shiz will maybe be a surprise, but I think he's been spotted. So small chance of now the T's getting away with anything here, especially if you look at the position of the bomb.
Very nice to see also the VP, they take a timeout and then they get the instant reward for it. They get the round after, and looks like it's going to be very one-sided as well. It's always such a heartbreaking thing. I know it would have ended the game, but just in general, taking a timeout and then getting pummeled the round after, that's when your spirits really die in a team. But just getting that reward.
It's just sort of like everything that your coach said, you're like, will that work?
Exactly. And just like in any other sport, you have to believe in your teammates, you have to believe in the coach, you have to believe in the system that's being called. Yeah. And if you take a timeout and it doesn't work, then every player will have in the back of their mind, okay, this was not correct. But then in this situation, VP call a timeout, they talk things over, and they get around with 4 surviving players. That's perfect.
Well, yeah, the other thing I wonder as well for Virtus.pro, if maybe V4 bought them a bit of time. Getting to the grand final, of course, they ended up losing it to Trick, but they beat Mouse Sports. And
yeah.
I think this is an organization within Poland that they can't really afford to be bottoming out in MDL. They can't afford to be going out anywhere near last place in an open event. They should be looking to get near the finals. If Virtus.pro,
sure.
They should be looking to win. The fact that we're even calling into question, are they going to be able to beat INTZ? The Desk has gone against them, a team that, okay, sure, they've done very well in NA-MDL, but a lot of teams that we wouldn't think would get anywhere near a sort of open.
They're ranked as the 4th best team in Brazil right now. Sharks technically are above them because Bolts, of course, switching the players.
Sharks also got to, they qualify for Pro League.
But then I would still say INTZ are better than Sharks, but that's just my opinion. We have another pause coming in. This one is for INTZ. Just talking things over. And I know it sounds like a lot, but I think it's so important in Counter-Strike that you utilize these timeouts. There's so much you can gain from them. The worst case scenario is that you get a breather in a tough game. That's the worst thing that can happen when you take a timeout.
Yeah.
Teams not utilizing all 4 timeouts within, especially a best of 1 that's so important. I just don't understand that.
Well, unless you're absolutely bodying your opponent.
Or the other way around. Yeah, if you're just giving up on life in general, then maybe okay. But I would also say just use it.
Brute force push coming in. PHR calling in for support, but he's not going to be able to do anything. Snatchy at least trades things back and gets the second as well, peeking over the top of the stairs. And well, I think just so much space given to him to take these fights. The AWP doing all of the work. Of course, no real utility thrown out there, so very easy for him to do that. Yell at least. He's going to be able to find one. Now, they're both just around the bomb at the moment. Oh, that was the chance. That was the moment where Yell really could have closed this out. Instead, Veggie takes the peak, a 9th onto the board, and well, you have to wonder if INTZ are going to start getting in their heads as well. Like, just a little bit of a question, Paul, because this is the point for VP in a sense of like, okay, well, it's the point of no return.
Yeah.
Like, we have nothing to lose from here. We can be a little bit more aggressive. We can take some risks. We can take the fights, because if we lose now, no one's going to be surprised.
And also you see the kind of like individual flashes of brilliance, as we saw in this round, like Snatchy really stepping up to the plate and delivering the game that he was known for, and the reason why he was picked up to this team in the beginning of things. So very nice to see that they still got it, but we need to see more than just flashes and PHR. Ready for it, but shot through the smoke from Shiz.
And this is, again, these pistol rounds have just been a real problem for Virtus.pro. These faster plays thrown in from the Brazilians are something that they really have trouble with countering. The thing is, though, with such a fast push, there's going to be a hell of a lot of utility ready for this retake. The problem is the double AWP, but Snacks has already given them that man advantage. We're going to need a real hero play once again, and Bolts is going on that long rotation all the way back. Now, the bomb is not planted for him. He's doing this solely to try and catch them off, get some kills, maybe buy his teammates a little bit of time, but now Yell's been spotted. Veggie is going to put him down, and you have to wonder if Bolts is just going to be too little too late. Just look at the bomb position. There should be absolutely no way they can do anything here. And you could see VP just going to defuse, and she's just going to, okay, I'll keep an HE in the Deke.
That's fine. He'll take the Deke onto the next one. Can't really retrieve a weapon. I think we cut away just before, but I don't think he got one.
They got lots of money now as well.
Yeah, that's not a problem. Like, they can definitely get a full buy going here, and they can get an AWP as well, so potentially even 3 to 4 creeks. So they're happy about it, and they are going to get 4 creeks in an AWP, so perfect buy from the T side here. Also decent utility, missing like the last 10-20%, but that's fine. Execute onto A now. Snatchy shut out.
Okay.
Same as PHR.
Yeah, PHR's been struggling, but Snatchy has been the glimmer of hope over the last few rounds. Him going down early is going to be a big problem. This looks like the beginning of the end for Virtus.pro. Still utility to be expended for the T's as well. They have a couple of Molotovs, HGs to just throw in and try and slow these CT players down. And not only that, of course, they have now a 3-man advantage. She's coming in from behind. This is done. There should be no way they get back into this. Veggie does at least find a pick, but there is that flank coming in, and Snacks, there's just no chance here. 1 versus 4, nice shot at least to close out this match, but he needs to get towards that bomb, and there's no way he's going to do it. The Brazilians take things 16-10, and while it never really looked like VP were in it.
I love that call in the last round coming out from INTZ in that situation. Like, that's some of the stuff that I wish VP would do during the game, like the no respect, quick play onto A, great utility usage, even though it wasn't on the back of that, it was on that quick execute onto the side, that speed. That confidence as well that coach there just showing out. And the Brazilians will take a victory in the first game against VP in the fully open group, like the group where anything can happen.
Yeah.
Where something has happened now, and VP, they need to get back.
Yeah, I think it's going to be really interesting, especially going into the battle versus Crazy, who looked... It was a very brawly match earlier. I think that could actually work into that favor, especially if they can get it onto a map like Train again, where you have Yell, who's a pretty damn prominent AWPer on that map, and I think it works for their aggressive style. Of course, we don't know the depth of their map pool, but we also don't know the depth of Crazy's, and, well, we've already seen them go on to face off against, like, what, VP on their best map. The same best map is Crazy's best map, so maybe they'll take the challenge there as well.
Someone who does know a lot about all the matches that we just seen and the one coming up next, and they're going to talk about the one that we just seen on Mirage is the desk. So we're going to throw it over to them to see what they have to say.
We certainly do. Let's talk about it. You guys predicted this one, but did you predict it to be this dominant? INTZ looking absolutely stellar. Did you think it was going to play out this way?
No, I didn't think it would be that dominant. I expected more from VP, and especially the T side, right? Because what we said it before this game going into this one, this may have been Virtus.pro's best map, and I think that was, fooled by a great T side at V4 in Budapest. This time around, though, they got shut down completely. We talked about Bolts, having to be that rock-steady player. He was playing hearts out on the CT side. We talked about Cello being an aggressive player as well, playing well. He was so good at taking control away from VP, especially in the mid area, constantly pushing up short, constantly being annoying. So I think Cello and Bolts basically lived up to what we talked about, and then the rest of VP just fell flat, and that was a little bit disappointing.
They did. I gotta mention the A-hold coming out of Bolts and Cello. It was so spectacular. And when we think about Mirage, we think about that disconnect from the connector player and the A player. Sometimes that A player is just sitting in CT spawn, jumping up and down and spotting, but INTZ busted out their double stack. Even sometimes they had 3 towards that A, and it just completely shut VP down.
It sounds like pretty much a two-pronged assault. You have VP falling on their face, and you have the INTZ playing out of their minds. When we look to the rest of the tournament before we actually do fully break this one apart, is that saying something to you, what we can expect from these teams at the DreamHack Open?
I hope so. I hope this is the true face of INTZ. I think there's a lot of potential within this lineup. I think a Brazilian team coming in hungry to a tournament like this, we've seen it so many times before. They always know how to deliver. They know how to play at a high level. There's a lot of experience within the lineup as well. So I think if this is the true face of INTZ, we got another contender for the title.
All right, well, we can ask them right now. We got Yell. Yell, is this the face that we can expect to see from your squad throughout this weekend?
Definitely. We changed a lot since KNG get out of the team. Me and Apoka, we try to play a more structured CS with setups and strats. And I think it's working so far. We're improving a lot in that way. And I want to win this tournament, so.
Yeah, now I know Bolts has come in and taken the spot of Destiny, but I know Destiny had some visa issues coming into this year. So was that a replacement, a conscious decision coming out of your lineup, or was that just due to the circumstances that you guys ended up picking up Bolts?
Bolts is a really great player as Destiny, but we didn't want to change Destiny, so it was more like a visa issues. But Bolts was there, ready for us, and we're glad he could come to the team.
It's relatively new that Bolts is with you guys. Can you talk a little bit about your preparations coming into this tournament?
Our preparation was not that good because we had like 1 week with Bolts. And Bolts is a kind of a lurker. He plays like in the other side of the map. And when he came to the team, Zand was doing his positions, so we had to adapt to that. Now Zand is going in the middle with us, with me and Cello, and Bolts is in his position. So this thing I think helped us a lot because Bolts doesn't necessarily need to learn a lot about the new team because he's doing all positions that he have done before. So.
All right, when we look at the rest of the teams that are competing here in the Open, is there any squad in particular that worries you, or are you confident about everybody?
I don't think so. We're ready. We're feeling confident. Our game is we're playing a good game, and we don't fear anyone.
All right. Well, we're excited to see more from you. Thanks for the words, and we'll be checking in with you soon.
Thank you, man. Bye-bye.
All right, now we've gotten to see every single team that is competing here. So it's a little bit of a fulcrum shift in the day. The rest of the teams, we have already seen quite a bit from them. Definitely very excited. The next one is, of course, going to be Heroic versus Illuminar. And before we actually do hop to the break, get set up for this one, do we think that Illuminar has a pretty tall order here?
Yeah, they do. I think they're going to have their hands full with Heroic. I think they look sharp in the very first match. We often see in these best of ones in the beginning of a tournament that it's not always you get to see the true face of a team. I think we saw a pretty, clear-cut victory from Heroic. We saw Illuminar also play well, but I think for them to win against Heroic, they'd have to step it up another level.
All right, well, we got plenty to think about during this break. It's back to Group A when we return, and we're going to see Heroic versus Illuminar.